we have two different directory service solution, one which is mainly for on-premises and the one which is for cloud native. So how we can integrate them together, or how we can transition them, or how we can migrate them, is using a solution called Azure Active Directory. Azure AD Connect is a solution that you can use for integrating this particular thing. Okay, so there is a solution called Azure AD Connect, which can help you to integrate them together. Okay, Azure AD Connect can connect on-premises directory service and the Azure AD Cloud directory service. So that is also something we'll see the lab in short. Okay, we'll see it in some time today. So Azure AD Connect is the connector, or we can say this is the tool that integrates on-premises Windows Server AD with Azure AD. So in simple terms, on-premises directory database with Azure AD. This is cloud directory database. Okay, it is integrating two different databases. It is connecting two different databases, Azure AD Connect. So this integration tool will allow using one credential for both on-premises and cloud. Okay, so it helps you to simplify a lot of things, simplify management, simplify administration. It simplifies access, administration, and management. Okay, we'll see that in practical. Okay, we'll see that in the lab shortly. So here, now it's ready for installation. I'll just go and install. It is saying like we should have static IP address and all those prerequisites, but those are all warnings. You can just go ahead and promote that. So now, while this is happening, I'll also quickly show you how to register the Azure AD domain. Okay, see Azure AD, as I told you, it's a kind of cloud native service, right? Or it's a cloud native directory. There are three different solutions. So here Azure Active Directory. For Azure Active Directory, again, for any directory service, we need a domain, right? Without domain, we will not be able to do anything. Okay, so this is different. We'll see that also today. This is different. Okay, so this one, Azure Active Directory, we need to have a domain. By default, for the directory service, it need a domain, right? So this domain here, we need to go and purchase the domain because we are talking about internet facing domain. Here in on-premises or intranet, we can just have a local domain or intranet domain, which doesn't need to be internet facing domain. It can be a domain which need not be purchased. Here we need to purchase the domain. See, by default, what Azure provides you is that they will provide you a domain by default. Whenever you go and create a Office 365 or Azure subscription, they will give you a default directory that will be with name. Let me show you that. So this is like something which I have added. I'll leave that. But see, my username is stanley.raj37@live.com, right? By default, if I go and check the directory here, it will have the okay, so this is my additional domain. If I scroll down, I'll see custom domain option somewhere here. So by default, you will get this particular domain. Okay, so even in your account, if you go and check, it will have stanley.raj37@live.com is my account, right? With the user, with the name and the domain, it will create a automatic domain like this. By default, you will have a free domain provided by Microsoft themselves. It will have the domain, the email address dot on microsoft.com. This is by default created. And if you want to have your own custom domain, you can go and add it. You can go and purchase something and you can go and add it. See here, you can just go and add the custom domain, and I can say AWS with stan.tk, right? AWS with stan.tk. See, without you can add a domain, you can add any number of domain, but in order to verify that, you have two different options to verify. You can verify your domain using text record or MX record. You can create a custom domain, your own domain name, and verified. So verification can be using TXT record or MX record. I'm not sure where exactly my domain is configured. Let me just go and manage the domain. Okay, it is going to AWS. Okay, so I don't have that AWS setup now. I can just go and use the default namespace server. I think it's better to use AD, right? That will quickly solve the, sorry, Azure will be quicker. Okay, let me go and quickly create a Azure AD DNS zone. Sorry, Azure DNS zone. So let me create it quickly. This will be AWS with stan.tk. That is what the name is, right? AWS with stan.tk. Create. So in cloud, they don't provide you integrated DNS like your on-premises. You have to go and create a separate DNS zone for managing the DNS record. So once after it is created, I will get a default NS record and SOA record, right? We already discussed that during our DNS class. So here you'll get, by default, you'll get name server list and SOA list. So you can copy that namespace servers, and I'll just go and configure those as my, okay, let me just configure these in my namespace server in the Freenom site. I think most of you have done this practical, right? You have seen this during our DNS class. So instead of using Freenom DNS server, I'm using Azure DNS server. Okay, just to simplify the resolution. Okay, I don't know if it signed off, whether it worked or not. Just give me a minute. My God. Okay, change is successfully saved. We can, it will take some time. Okay. I'll use Google DNS. Oh, perfect. Okay, it has reflected it already. So now we are good to go and add it. So here I can just go and add a record set. So here is where you have to be very careful. You have to either add the text record or the MX record. You can use either of this to verify your domain. So I'll just use the text record method. So this is an exam question also. Okay, so let me go and add the text record. So in order to verify a domain, you have to use the text record. I have to paste the value here. And this is the root domain, right? I can just say at. What I'm referring here is for AWS with stand.tk. At refers in the actual entire domain. So I'm not referring to any child domain or specific system. So it is referring to the entire domain. So in order to verify the entire domain, this is my key. This is my value. Okay, I'm just clicking OK. And I can just go and check that also in my NS lookup. Set type is equal to text record. And for my domain, okay, it's 27097. 27097. 27097. Now, after adding all these things, you can go and click verify. So without adding that, you will not be able to verify. So once after you verify the domain, you can make that as a primary domain. Okay, so I can just make that as a primary domain. So after I do this, if I go and create any user in my Azure Active Directory, by default, it will go and select my AWS with stand.tk in the dropdown. Okay, so without, see, there are a lot of domains that I have there, right? Only the verified domains will be listed here. See, for example, I can see that there are many other unverified domain also. If you look at here, these are all like cloud and stand.online or cloud with stand 2021.tk. These are all domains which are unverified. So you will not be able to see the unverified domain in the dropdown. You will not be able to create a user with the domain which is unverified. You have to verify it. Only verified domains will be available here. Okay. So I'll come to that shortly. But now, any questions so far? See, you cannot just like that do that. I'll tell you. I'll just go and show you one more example. See, I cannot just say cloud with stand.tk, and you cannot just like that do it. You cannot verify it. If I say verify, it will fail. See, failure to verify domain. So you have to follow the exact process. You have to create a text record. You have to, after only the DNS propagation is done, sometimes it might take up to 72 hours. Okay, so you can also be patient. I mean, you have to be, you can also wait for some time. Sometimes it might take some time. So here, this one will not work. Without proper procedures that I showed you, you will not be able to make it work. Okay, so let me just go and delete this one. This is not needed. Okay. Even the one that I don't have anything, I'll just go and delete those things, unverified ones. Okay, fine. Let there be one unverified thing. So any questions from anyone so far on how to add the custom domain and how to verify that? Okay, you also need practice. This is what it is. Okay. So now let's go and log into the other on-premises domain controller or the previous domain controller quickly. Same machine. So now you can see that the name has changed. So it is having the server name, the computer name, dot the domain name. So this time it will log in with my domain credential instead of the local credential. Now you can see that it is logging in with my domain profile. Okay. Can just go and check that. Who am I? You can see that I'm part of this domain controller. Okay. So now we are done. We have logged in with the domain credential. Okay, now we are all set, ready. So even if you go and create a local user, now all these users will get created as the cloud user only. Sorry, Active Directory domain users only. Okay, just for sample testing purpose, I'm creating few users here. Okay, so we are all good. So I'll create at least 5 users quickly. I've given unnecessary space, but anyways, that's fine. Okay, so let's move on. Just created few users. Okay, just for testing purpose. I'll also create couple of groups. I'll say Saturday class. Is there a question, Satish?
Yes, Dan. Actually, I'm not clear. So why we are going for this public domain? We can use some local as well, right? Even if it is placed in active in a cloud.
No, you cannot see without a public domain. You will not be able to go and create a user in Azure Active Directory, which is not verified. See, if I go and create
Oh,
add user group without a verified domain, you can use it, but see, you will be able to use only the default domain that is coming from Microsoft. This one, you can go and create users with this domain only. If you want to
mhm.
create, have your own organizational account, then you need to have a domain verified. Okay, so you can just create. Let me say Satish.
Okay. Now we have done with local installations, right? On top of VM, we have done accurate installations, right?
Oh, you're
So
talking about this one. Okay, okay. So here you can have any domain. Okay, you can have Satish.local or
okay,
Satish.internal. This is an internal
okay,
domain.
that
You
can be
can
local. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, here you can see that whatever I've created, Ganesh, Ben, Kanagaraj, Satya, Satish, Venkat, all these are created as a domain account now, domain user. And now we also have created the Sunday class and Saturday class, a couple of things. I'll just say I'll add few users on Saturday class here. I'll add Venkat, um, Ben, uh, who else added? Nagaraj.
Stan,
Yeah,
yeah, I have a question. Like a
yeah, good.
like a, the public domain that we have created, actually what we are doing here,
Mm,
we are creating the all
mm,
the users, right? So whoever
mm,
need access in the particular domain and they
mm,
have to do some work about accordingly. We are
mm.
creating users into it.
Yeah.
Is the same we are doing?
No, see, I'm just creating some users now for now. I'll tell you like what exact things we are going to do for now. Okay, I'm not yet started. I'm just creating. This is the basic things, right? In on-premises, if you're working as a Intel administrator or part of your AD team, you might have done the same thing, right? You might have created a domain controller. You might have promoted a server as a domain controller, and you might have created users groups to give access to the local application in the on-premises and to the devices that are connected to the network, right? So that is what we generally do. These are all something which you have been used to, but after doing all these things, I'm going to show you how to integrate the on-premises Active Directory system with cloud Azure Active Directory. Okay, in order to do that, we need to kind of install the Azure AD Connect tool now. So let me go and open up the system. I'll just go and download the Chrome first. I mean, can you come again with your question? Maybe I might have missed your question full part.
Yeah, I will tell. Like as you said, like we are going to integrate. So even to integrating from on-premises cloud, still we have
Mm.
to create any domain and account in the Azure side, or just
Yeah,
integration
Azure
should be.
side, it is always best practice to have a registered domain. It's not mandatory. You can go and use the default domain given by Microsoft Azure, but as a best practice, you need to have your own domain registered and use it on the Azure AD side. Yeah, that's the best practice you need to follow.
Okay, one more thing. So
Mm,
under the domain only we are creating. There are normally we will have some AD groups, right, for
mm,
each particular like a
mm,
project and wing. There is a
mm,
separate group, is like a backup, Windows, Unix.
mm,
There are all our separate group will
mm,
be there. So
mm.
all this kind of group will be under this domain, right? It will be like that. Is this way
Okay,
in
so
AD we are considering?
correct. So here also you can just go and have those groups here. You can go and create group like backup admin, or you can just do the same thing like on-premises used to create security groups, right? In order to give access to the backup tool and stuff, you can just go and create it. Group for backup administrators. So here in the cloud, there is an advantage called dynamic group. So whenever you go and create a user with a particular department or with a particular role, automatically it get added to that group. So there is a dynamic group in cloud, but in on-premises, we go and create it manually, right? You go to the database here, you go and create a group like backup admins, or something like Citrix. You might have Citrix administrators, or based on the role, all those things, you'll go and create different stuffs. So here I'll also create one more. Who was asking that question? Armugama?
Arun,
Arun. Okay, sorry.
Arun.
Yeah. So I'll just go and add Arun here. Refresh. I'll add Arun to backup administrators, member of. Okay, so now we have a set of users and groups and all those things that is created in on-premises. And now I'm also going to log into the Azure portal. Okay. So in order to integrate your on-premises directory with Azure Cloud Directory, you need to have the Azure AD Connect. That is the integration tool. Okay, let me log in here. 10 approve, done. So once after you log in, you can see, you need not go and download the Azure AD Connect from the portal. You can also go and download it directly from the internet. But sometimes the version might be a little different. You have the option to go and download the Azure Active Directory Connect tool. This is mainly to integrate your on-premises domain with cloud directory, right? So you can see that this is mainly for integration from your on-prem to the cloud. See, it's simple, Arun. I have a username Arun in on-premises, and I'm using it for accessing the printer or accessing the computer, laptops, and application in the on-premises. Now, my company has evolved. I have started using online applications like Salesforce or Workday or Office 365. I want to use the same Arun account to access the on-premises um, uh, company's application as well as the third party and the cloud application. So for that, you are having the Azure AD Connect tool that can integrate the on-premises directory with cloud directory, and I can use the same single user name and password for accessing all of the resources. That's the intention behind using this Azure AD Connect. Okay, let me just go and paste this content. This is mainly for integrating your on-premises directory with cloud directory. Okay, you can either go and download it here. Okay, so you can just directly download it from the internet. So you need to have a minimum of Windows 2016 operating system. That is the minimum requirement. you can have it directly on your domain controller itself. You can install it on domain controller or any other member server also. If your environment is very huge or very large, then you can go and install it in any server on the network which is connected to the Active Directory domain. Okay, now let me just go and install it, download and install it. You can just go and download and install, or else you can go here under your Azure Active Directory. You have the option to go and download that also. So if I go here, you have the option AD Connect. Here also you can go and download the tool. If you scroll down, Azure AD Connect, Health. So it says, okay, I have logged in with different account. Maybe I've already integrated with multiple other things. So that's fine. Okay, let me just go and download it here only then. So I've done it multiple times. Is someone having a free account which is not already integrated and used earlier? Any free tier Azure account available with anyone? You've got it. It's all free tier X expired. Huh? Now it is almost third month,
Yes,
right? It's almost fourth month, I guess.
It's
Yeah, we are
expired.
supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are supposed to complete by March end. I know, like we are running very late, but yeah, that's fine. At last, as long as we are able to discuss all these things, it's good. So here, yeah, so I'm going to install the Azure AD Connect tool. So this is the tool which can help you to have a hybrid integration. So here, there are multiple options. I can just go and have the express setting. Express setting will go and install with all the default settings. Okay, or if I want to customize, I can just go and customize. I'll show you what are the different customization options available. Okay, if I go with the express setting option, it will go and install the tool with the default settings, like it will go and synchronize my AWS with stand on-premises AD Forest with Azure AD domain, and also it will configure the password hash synchronization. So I will tell you what these kind of authentication. I'll talk about these things in detail today, and it will also do an initial synchronization. Okay, so if I go and check the cloud directory here, now I don't have those groups here, like the Saturday users, Sunday users, all these things are not available here. And similarly, I mean, I can just go and delete some of these Singapore users and all I don't need. Okay, is there any members already there? Okay, so if you have members, I'll not be able to. Okay, let me see. Even this has got members. Okay, so everything is being effectively used. Okay, I'll just go and see, we don't have that Saturday, Sunday and backup admin. Those things are not here, right? Also, I can show you the users. I don't have those users which I've created, Kanagaraj and all those things, all those users are not here, Vengat and so on. So Satish is a very common one. Okay, so see, if you look at here, with the domain name, you can see it has been created with different domains in the past. Okay, Azure with stand.ml, Azure with stand.cf. We don't have any users which is having AWS with stand.tk. Okay, that's the way you can identify. Okay, and also you can see whether it is a directory synced account or whether it is created in the Azure itself. If I am creating it in Azure itself, then it will say directory sync is no. Okay, which means it is a user that has been created in the Azure portal itself. See, if I'm going and creating something here, like if I'm saying Narayanan, it will just go and create it in the cloud itself. I can use any verified domain. I can use the default domain or the domain that I have verified now. Okay, I can just say Narayanan. His name is okay. That is not mandatory. See, if I want to restrict Narayanan to be allowed to log in only from India or from any specific location, I can also restrict his access. This is to allow him access only from India location, conditional access. I can also add him to any existing group here. Okay, I can just add him to backup admins and so on. And I can also give him some additional privileges like administrator and other privileges. Whether if he's going to be part of the service desk team, I can mention like he's going to be a user administrator. He will be allowed to create users, groups, resetting the password and so on. So based on his role, I'll just go and provide the permission there. I'll just say he's a IT service desk team, IT organization. Okay, if I know the manager name, I can also go and select this manager. Maybe, for example, let's take Vishwa as his manager. I'll say Vishwa, and I'll create just for that's fine. So it's saying the role is not applicable. That's fine. But I was able to create the Narayanan account. So this is not a directory sync account. If you say this is saying no, meaning it has been created in the cloud itself. So creation type, you can see it is. Earlier we used to see something called what do you call Windows Server AD and Azure AD, all those options. But I think those filters are not available. Let me see if I can add those column. Job title, department. Okay, only creation type is there. Okay, that's fine. See, even I can also go and create one more user with the default domain also. So this is the default domain from Microsoft, right? I can just go and create Nanda Kumar with the default one. So only the name is mandatory. The rest of the fields are optional. I can just go and create it. Okay, so I was able to create that also. Even you can just go and allow a guest user also. Okay, meaning for example, if I want to allow someone like some third-party email address, I can also invite him. Okay, welcome to AWS Stan. You are now, you will have access to access my Azure subscription. I can also invite the guest users also. Okay, so that option is also there. So with that said, let's go and integrate my on-premises and the cloud directory using the express setting. I'll explain about the customization options. So now, in order to integrate the on-premises with the cloud, I need two credentials. One credential is the connection to Azure AD. In order to connect to Azure AD, I need to provide a credential here. So I need to create a credential in Azure Active Directory for that. I'll create some service account. I will say Azure AD service account 1. Okay, I'll say Azure AD service account. So this I'll just use the same name. And this user should have to be okay, let me show the password because I need the password. This is the username. This is the password. Okay, and I should give him permission of sorry, not this one. I need to give him global administrator permission. That is very, very important. Okay, so you should have access to global administrator. So this is the full access for Azure AD. Like your on-premises, we used to have enterprise admin, domain admins and all, right? So this global administrator has full access to Azure AD and Microsoft services, O365 and Intune and so on. So I'll select the global administrator. And I'll just say this is for service account for Azure AD connect. Okay, I'll create it. So now we are done. We have created the account. So for the first time, I'll just go and verify whether I'm able to log in with that account. So first time we have to check that. Maybe sometimes it will ask for credentials. So in order to verify that, you can either log into any of the Microsoft portal, okay, myoffice.microsoft.com or any portal for that matter. So I'll just go and use that account. This is the username. AWS with stan.tk. So when I log in for the first time, it will ask for the password to be reset. So this is a good practice to at least log in once before I use the service account in any tool. Okay, see it is resetting, right? I'll just use some changes here. 7687. Just I'll change only one number. Okay. So current password is this. Okay, I have reset the password. I'm able to log in with the new account that I've created to all the Microsoft Online portal. Okay, so I'll be able to access any application or whatever using my new ID. So if you look at here, I was able to this promoters. Okay, so I was able to log in with my Azure AD service account onto Microsoft portal. Okay, now we are good with that account, so we should be able to use it for the synchronization. We'll just use that here at AWS with stan.tk. So you need to have a account with Azure AD Global Administrator privileges. That is important. Okay, in order to connect, I need Azure AD Global Administrator role. Okay, so here I'll just enter the password which I have generated. I'll just delete the old one. And now it is going to connect to the internet. We need internet connection, either through the proxy or direct internet connection, whatever, because it is going to connect to the Microsoft Online to verify the credential. Okay, it is verifying. Yeah, it is verifying whether I'm a global administrator. Yes, it is perfect. And I'm able to connect to the Azure AD. Azure AD connection is now done. So one side of the directory connection is now done. I'm able to connect to this directory from Azure AD Connect. Now I also need to check the verification on the on-premises Windows Server AD connection. Okay, so this Azure AD Connect should have to connect to Azure AD first, and then it also have to connect to the Windows Server AD. So in the Windows Server AD, I can also create one service account here. I'll just go and create a service account for this. This is Windows Server AD service account. Okay, and I'll also go and add that as a enterprise admin. Okay, I'll just go and add him as a member of enterprise administrator. In the on-premises, I have to give him enterprise admin permission. Like in the cloud, I'm giving global admin, right? Similarly, I need to give enterprise admin permission. Even you can give the admin permission, but enterprise admin is what is needed. Okay, so I've just given that. Now I can use that account to log in now here. So this one will be AWS with stan / Windows Server AD service account. Password will be password at 12345. It needs enterprise administrator credential. Now, after installing Azure AD Connect, I have connected to Azure AD. I have also connected to AD Domain Services, which is my on-premises Windows Server Active Directory. So this is the Azure AD Connect tool that is getting installed. So first time, if I start the installation and synchronization, it is going to connect to both the databases, and it will go and create a Express local database. See, this Express local database is a database that is needed to store all the information for synchronization, which accounts are getting synchronized and all those things. For holding all those information, it will go and create a local SQL DB. Okay, so Azure AD Connect itself will have one database to store the information about which users are getting replicated, which groups are having issues, what time we created, what time we replicated. All those information will be stored in the local database. That's the reason we should generally use a separate machine for Azure AD Connect instead of using the domain controller itself. It's a good practice to go and use something on a separate machine, whichever member server which are connected to the Active Directory domain. Okay, let's give it a minute. It will take a couple of minutes to synchronize, and you'll be able to see that in the cloud side now. Okay, let's verify. So it is creating the synchronization account. The very first step, you can see that it will go and create a synchronization account. That is the first step. If you look at here now, for the AWS with stand.tk, there is a new account that has got created. So if you look at here, this is the account possibly. So this is the account that it is getting created. This is for the on-premises directory synchronization. Okay, this is the first account it will go and create. Okay, if you look at here, that is what it is meaning. It is creating the Azure Active Directory synchronization account. Once after it is created, once after the on-premises directory synchronization service account is created, it will start configuring the synchronization. Okay, it will go and add Microsoft Azure AD Sync here. It will install the synchronization service on that machine. Okay, once the synchronization is done, it will go and add the source domain and the destination domain. Okay, now it is creating a password hash synchronization, meaning it will not replicate the password. Instead, it will replicate only the hash value of the password. See, for example, I've created Venkat, Ganesh, Satya, all those Satish, and right. So for their, they have the user and the password, right? It will not replicate the password. Instead, it will replicate the entire user plus the hash value of the password. It will not store the password in the cloud because of security reason. It will only replicate the hash value. No one will be able to unencrypt with the hash value. Okay, it's a very highly encrypted password. So it will only replicate the hash value of the password. So Azure Active Directory will not store the exact password information of your on-premises users. Okay, only it will replicate the hash value. So by default, it will be replicating using password hash synchronization. What that means is like instead of replicating the password or instead of synchronizing the password, it will only synchronize the hash value, meaning it is the encrypted value of the password. Okay, that is the default method on how it will synchronize. There are other methods, I'll explain that shortly, but this is the default method. So now the synchronization is complete. You can see it is completed, and the best practice is to enable the AD recycle bin in your on-premises because we are synchronizing, right? Sometimes some user might get deleted or accidentally modified and so on. So if you have Active Directory recycle bin selected in your on-premises, you can go and quickly restore instead of using your Active Directory authoritative restore mode or all those things. So now Active Directory has got a feature called recycle bin, which can help you to restore the users quickly, right? Now the configuration is complete. Okay, I can just go and say exit. And if I refresh, I should start seeing the on-premises users here. So I can just see bin at AWS with stand.tk. I can see Ganesh with AWS.stand.tk. I can just see Narayanan. I can see Kanagaraj. See, not just that, right? If I go and select these users, I should also see the membership also. If I so go and check the Kanagaraj here, it will be member of this on-premises group, Saturday class. Okay, similarly, if I go and check the other user, Ganesh, he is also part of, okay, he is not part of any group, right? Ganesh was not part of any group. Ganesh is having empty membership, only domain users, that is fine. If I add them to Sunday class, then automatically that will be there. Okay, whatever you are doing in on-premises, now it will get synchronized. In order to verify that, we need not use any third-party replication service. You can just log into the synchronization service and you can check which user has got replicated, all those details. If I select that, you'll be able to see the full synchronization here. And I can just go and click on the outflow and then see which, sorry, not this one. This is the AWS stand, right? I can just go and check which users and all those things got replicated. You can see that Ganesh, Kanagaraj, Venkat, Ben, Satya, Satish, Sunday class group, Citrix admin, Arun, Windows Server AD. So all these users and groups have got replicated. Okay, this is the list of users. You can just go and verify that also in your synchronization report or the log. So for verification and troubleshooting, you need to use the synchronization service manager. This is the native tool as part of your Azure AD Connect. When you go and install and configure the Azure AD Connect, the synchronization service tool will also get added. So by default, every 30 minutes, the replication will happen or synchronization will happen. You can also change it. You can use PowerShell command to increase and decrease the synchronization frequency. If your organization is frequently creating user, you can reduce it, or if they create only in once in a week, or only if you do some onboarding on Wednesday and Tuesday, only if only in 2 or 3 days you add new employees to your organization, you can just do synchronization only during those days. You can customize the synchronization based on your organization pattern. Okay, makes sense so far? Any questions, any doubt from anyone? See, once after this is done, now I can just go and use the username and password which I created in the on-premises. See, I can just show you something. Maybe I can use Arun account. I can just go and open up a new incognito window. I can say myapps.microsoft.com. I'm going to verify using the account that I created in on-premises. Okay, let me log out first. Okay, I'll say Arun at AWS with stand.tk and I'll use the same password. Okay, so that's it. So I created the user in the on-premises domain controller, but I was able to log in with that account in cloud also. So that's the purpose of using Azure AD Connect. I can use Arun to log into my laptop, my system, my local application, and I can also use it to access the cloud application also, Office 365 or any application that is hosted on the cloud platform. I can just go and check which application I need, or I can just go and add any additional tools and so on. I can go and add Microsoft 365 Zoom or any kind of application, whatever I need, I can just go and start using it. So I'm logged in with the Arun account now. Any questions from anyone so far? You can see that I have logged in with Arun at AWS with stand.tk. I know it needs you guys need some practice. Okay, that is fine. You can practice it a little later. But any questions from anyone so far? Okay, if there are no questions, we'll just take a small short break, and when we come back, we'll discuss a little more on the comparison. I'll explain more about these different options. We'll also do this. Maybe before going to the break, I'll also